I've just been watching Norman Finkelstein. He'd make a great Prime Minister for the Holy Lands. But now, we wanted to look at something, the breakdown of the shifting of the Palestinian vote.
Okay, so what is interesting is the position of Abbas himself, the leader of Palestine. He wasn't going to go and press ahead with the vote. He's actually been stalling and delaying the first of all, he presented his application to the Security Council, which of course the US sat on it, squashed it. So he's been dilly-dallying around and delaying this application, confident that throughout 2013 or 2014 Obama would come to his rescue and free Palestine. But his own hand was forced. He informed Israeli television of his personal disinterest in the right of return, although through in exile, in order to assuage Israeli fears about Palestinian rights. So in other words, he was selling out. Okay. This created an instantaneous firestorm among Palestinian public opinion and put Abbas in the position of needing a quick fix to arrest the rapidly accelerating collapse of his remaining legitimacy. Then came the recent Israeli assault on the Gaza Strip and the resulting perception that Hamas is successfully confronting Israel while Abbas is hapless, helpless and more dangerous, yet irrelevant in equal measure. This left him no choice but to go to New York. Presumably, he came under significant pressure from what is left of Fatah to act, and act speedily as well. Number two, this is about quality, not quantity. With the outcome of the United Nations vote never in doubt, the real question is whether the Palestinian UN bid will gain significantly more support and garner significantly less opposition than the 1988 Proclamation of Independence. There are already very encouraging signs in this respect. France is leading a very respectable group of EU member states to vote in favour. Germany, which is no longer the determined obstructionist within the EU, it has been in years past, is abstaining. It seems no more than one or two insignificant EU members, if any, and that was the Czech Republic, will vote against the status upgrade. Further beyond, even Australia is abstaining. Within Europe, this is interesting, the British position is of particular interest. Now, I've been told that the British voted yes. In fact, they actually abstained. London has made its vote, now is this so typically British, has made its vote conditional on a Palestinian commitment to unconditionally resume participation in a peace process that does not, and it's in brackets, and that within the framework advocated simply cannot exist, as well as a Palestinian pledge to ensure Israeli impunity at the International Criminal Court. Now think about it. Why would they want impunity for Israel?
They are the Jews.
Because Israel would impugn, Israel would be pointing the finger at Britain.
They said they are the Jews.
Yeah, that's right. So behind it all...
Well, it's a Balfour Agreement.
Yes, no, I get off that stuff. But we're talking about now, today, at this vote.
It's relevant. Balfour Agreement.
Yeah. Okay, so with respect to its war crimes.
November the 2nd.
Yes, 1917. It appears to have obtained neither condition, but is nevertheless abstaining rather than voting against. For this, Abbas has Ahmad Ya'bari rather than David Cameron to thank. The above notwithstanding, it has been painful to watch the unbridled glee and haste with which the Harper government is flushing Canada's international reputation for neutrality and support for international law, built up over decades, down the toilet and into the sewer. More amusing have been US efforts to restrain the Israeli response to the UN vote, since Palestinian success will trigger automatic US sanctions. The Obama administration wants to prevent the Netanyahu government from doing the same, lest the Palestinian Authority collapse. The prospect of Washington pleading with Israel to limit sanctions against the Palestinian Authority to lessen the impact of US sanctions is, to say the least, utterly bizarre. But given the EU's total abandonment of Israel on this specific issue, Israel's freedom of action in the coming weeks will in any case be constrained. To be sure, a formal Israeli annulment of Oslo would have been icing on the cake. However, it is far from clear that Israel's security establishment would have let Netanyahu and Lieberman run amok on election eve. Number 3, the real issue is what comes next. Anyone familiar with the position of Western governments knows that for them, what this issue is really about is not the United Nations or Palestine's status in the General Assembly, but rather the International Criminal Court. They desperately do not want to have to make a choice between their commitment to Israeli impunity and their support for the ICC. That has worked so long as the ICC only goes after Africans. They are simply mortified that this may now change. Not only should they make that choice, they should be forced to make that choice in full public view. If this means the demise of the ICC and its inability to continue with the exclusive prosecution of Africans, so be it. We need a real court, and a willingness to prosecute Israeli war crimes is, for many, and quite rightly, the litmus test of the court's efficacy and utility. Parenthetically, it is interesting that the same governments getting all bent out of shape about a UN vote, and particularly the prospect of Israel having to account for its crimes, have a policy of total indifference on Israeli settlement expansion and total support for Israel's right to self-defense every time it launches a murderous assault on the Palestinians. Indeed, when is the last time Victoria Nuland even alluded to the latest Israeli settlement announcement? Obama's record in this respect has been significantly worse than even that of George W. Bush. For the Palestinians, the key question is whether Abbas is using this as cover to resume utterly meaningless negotiations with Israel that serve only to consolidate occupation, or whether it is a step towards the internationalization of the question of Palestine, and therefore an irrevocable move away from the Oslo framework. There is in this respect an urgent requirement for a Palestinian national strategic consensus, so that this tactical move becomes part of a comprehensive national strategy rather than an initiative that is taken for personal or factional considerations. The not unrelated point is that to the extent Palestinian Authority is punished, particularly financially for this move, it reduces foreign leverage over the Palestinians to undertake absolutely essential maintenance work on the national movement, particularly insofar as ending the schism between Fatah and Hamas is concerned. To the extent it is not punished, it should serve as an object lesson in how to call a bluff and stand up to foreign pressure. The key here is internationalisation. So the bottom line is, the weak link in the chain is Abba, the very man. And that's why they in all of this bullshit that Israel's crapping on about sitting down at the table face to face, what utter liars and dogs they are.
No. England is about to go broke. America is about to go broke. Australia, no.
There's all the resources in the world.
Yeah. The running of these countries is cause and effect. Whoever runs the country is running the money. And that's what the Jews again.
Of course it is.